welcome our illustrious panel. How's everyone doing out there tonight? Reverend, are we in good shape? How are we doing out there tonight?
Yep, we're doing good.
We're doing good. All right.
Yep. Sorry, I was a little faint on my phone. I apologize.
No, I was looking at it too. We're all good tonight, so we're in good shape, right, Rev?
Yep.
I just bragged on you in the opening, so I hope we are. Goldar, how you doing?
Doing fantastic. Fantastic.
Good deal.
Just gotta fix my white balance here.
Narwhal, you about to wash away, or have you got the flooding situation under control?
Yeah, 2 floods in a month. I think I'm done. The other day, I saw animals 2 by 2 starting to walk up the street. It was getting a little extreme there, but looks like we got everything dried out. We're in the process of putting the roof on the ark, and I think we're about ready to roll.
Well, the ark's not supposed to take on water, dude. I just want to let you know that. But by the way,
trying to have a little bit on the water. I mean, come on. As long as this is not getting up to the upper decks and stuff, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah. Says we got a couple people in the chat, but I don't see anybody yet. Can you guys see anybody?
I don't see anybody.
Okay, I don't either, but that's okay.
It's probably me. I know I'm one of them. Making sure sound and all that stuff. So
I understand.
I got to be one of those. So, but you never know. That thing's tricky. Tricky.
I understand. Yes. Well, I want to start off by giving a shout out to the folks that are in the chat. If you're there, or those that are tuning in later, thank you for tuning in. If you do enjoy what you see, please leave a like and share this video. Also, if you are so inclined, jump over to our YouTube page and like and subscribe to it as well. We're trying to grow our presence on that platform, and eventually, our plan is to kind of transition this live programming over there, but we don't know when that's going to happen. So, but go ahead and like and subscribe, and mash that bell so that you'll get notifications when we go live there. Finally, this is a follow-up announcement to the one we made the last time we were on the air. Fanboys 918 has recently partnered with another distribution partner for our content. They are an over-the-top OTT service similar to Roku, called Audacity TV, and they have just recently started up their service, and we have been fortunate enough to be part of this initial rollout of their app. They'll be carrying our best segments that you'll be able to watch on your large screen instead of your phone or tablet. But in addition to this show, where they're also going to be carrying segments of our other programs. Goldar, one of those programs is yours. Do you want to talk about what you're doing over there?
Yeah, so I do Fanboys Nightcrawlers. I release a new episode every late Saturday night, Sunday. And currently I'm playing the game Days Gone. I have honestly totally forgotten where we are in the story right now. I believe we just stole the detonator kit that we needed from the Rippers camp, and we blew up the dam and flooded the entire camp.
So Narwhal's house was downriver from the dam, is what you're telling me.
Yep. He was
right.
Collateral damage.
Yeah. Now, the reason you forgot that is not because you're done with the game or anything. You just played. You're continuing to play the game and build other segments and stuff. So you're so far ahead of the game. You're just airing what you've already pre-recorded. Is that correct, sir?
I have actually finished the game.
Okay.
At this point.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've already finished the game. I think we just released episode 16.
Yes.
16 or 17. But there's going to be a total of 30 to 31 episodes.
Nice.
I just actually recorded the first Last of Us Part 1 episode this past weekend. So I'm way ahead on recording schedule.
And he's put us to shame.
So I'm looking to probably double up on some of those Days Gone episodes so we can get through it here pretty quickly, because I know The Last of Us is coming out. The television show on HBO Max is pretty soon, from what I understand. We just got a trailer for the Resident Evil show that's on Netflix, so I want to.
That actually looks pretty decent.
Yeah, there's actually 2 Resident Evil games that I want to play. I want to play. I would like to play Resident Evil 2, the remake. Then there's Resident Evil 7, and then they just came out with Resident Evil 8, I believe, late last year sometime. I think you need a new console to do that. So I'm hopefully gonna be able to, by the time I get to that point, I'll be able to get my hands on one of the newer Xbox or PlayStations to be able to play that.
Okay, so since you finished it, and I don't want any really to spoil anything, but did you end up liking Days Gone?
Yeah, I'd say it's a game that definitely needs some time to play, because I'll be honest, the first few hours I played it, I'm like, this game's trash. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna make it through this. But it actually grew on me over time, because it had some mechanics similar to The Last of Us Part 2, which I'm also actually replaying that just for fun on the side.
Oh, okay.
And it heavily reminds me of that game. It's not as tense fighting some of the battles, except for whenever you're fighting hordes. Hordes are pretty intense.
I hate fight hordes. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, right.
Especially when your friends flooding your house for you.
But it gets you to do certain things that you didn't normally do in other games. So for example, it gets you to care about your motorcycle, where you're upgrading it and you're having to fix it, and you always have to have it whenever you're out in the wild driving around. Like, you can't just leave it and walk away and get something else. It's your bike. So you have to care about it. There's a crafting system where you can craft Molotovs and pipe bombs. I think this particular game is superior to The Last of Us in the amount of things that you can craft.
Oh, okay.
Sounds a lot like the Red Dead Redemption series. You know, the first one was great and everything, but the second one even I hear is even better. And I haven't had a chance to play that. That one, like, you actually have to shave yourself daily, or you actually grow a beard, and then there's fishing and all these other things that you can do. And it's just totally open world concept. And so is this game open world as well?
Yeah, it's pretty open world. There's not very many camps that you can go to. I think there's a total of 4 camps in the whole game that you can go to, where you can purchase weapons, you can turn in meat that you've taken from animals that you killed. So deer and wolves, you can kill those and carve out meat for the camp to earn points. Herbs or berries that you find, you can collect those and you can turn them in for points as well. When you kill freakers, you collect their ears and turn those in for points as well. So if you're tackling a herd, you might fight 200 to 300 of them at once, and then turn those in for points, which then earns you more trust in those camps, which gives you the ability to upgrade your bike more, or upgrade your weapons, or buy more advanced weapons. So it's definitely a fun game. You just need to give it a try, get into it for a little while. It starts getting really, really good, especially like the little side missions. You know, they give you a little bit of a reprieve from the typical, like, you know, go hunt down this guy at this other camp. You know, things like finding a dog for your friend because he's depressed and wants to kill himself because he lost his arm. Like, stuff like that is kind of cool. So I definitely recommend it to anybody that's looking for something that's on PlayStation 4. Just, again, give it some time. You'll definitely warm up.
See, that's why I never really could get anywhere on KOTOR and the Old Republic back in the day on Xbox, because I have no patience for side missions. I have no patience for that side quest stuff. We're going to do, but then, like, why am I getting my ass kicked? Well, dude, didn't you do this? No. Well, then that's why.
You got to go over and build yourself up, man. You don't just get to be a Jedi master walking from out the Tatooine here, bro.
I know. Luke did.
What you got to do is do those Lego Star Wars games. That's about the level of us at this point, man.
Yeah. And Luke did not just leave Tatooine, man. You remember, he got his ass kicked by a Wampa and everything. And
That's true.
He had to go.
Oh my God! Are you telling me The Empire Strikes Back is one gigantic side mission?
It is.
Oh my God!
Exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is, bro.
Oh my God, it is.
And what do you think? Everyone got their asses whipped in it.
Well, that and half the episodes of Mandalorian are doing gigantic side quests. So, all right, guys. Well, like I say, we're up to episode 16 of this, and like I say, Goldar's already finished it, and he's got some great stuff waiting for us down the pike. Now, there's another block of programming that I think is kind of winding down. Mr. Narwhal, do we have any other segments of Fanerism Flicks coming, or are you kind of getting ready to sunset that?
We're getting ready to sunset that one there. You know, it's had a good run of Fanerism Flicks, but I'm looking at rolling out a new bit of programming here soon that I think our viewers will hopefully appreciate. It's going to give us a little bit more opportunity to do event programming, to where it's not just a tune in anytime. It's, you'll be able to get a ticket, and for now they're free tickets. But free's good. But we'll be able to show a little better class of movies, and be able to have a nice group viewing experience.
Uh-oh, we lost the Reverend.
No, he didn't. Work this calling, so I'm going
Okay.
on hold. So you guys keep going.
All right, no problem. All right, so that sounds good. We're not really quite ready to let that out of the bag yet. But
I'm hoping testing on it. We have to make sure that the interwebs are going to cooperate, and make sure that the Marvel lawyers aren't going to snipe us.
Yes.
For anything that we might do. So we got.
And actually, what I would like to do, and I hate to bring it up right now live on the air, but why the hell not? I would love to get a few movies from 1982, since we're here at the 40th anniversary of them, and 1982 is the greatest geek year ever, for the stuff that was released. So, I mean, like, if you look back at 1982, you had like Star Trek II, E.T., and The Thing all released like within 1 or 2 days of each other. And it's like, they don't release movies like that anymore, I mean, so yeah.
Well, I will say this. I will say this as a teaser. When we launch this, I already have the first movie picked out.
Oh, what is it? Can you say?
Well, I will give some hints.
Okay.
It's a movie that was released in the originally released in the late 70s. It is considered a classic of modern cinema, and this version of this film you actually cannot see anywhere else but this showing that we're going to be having. In fact, all the versions that they have out currently are editions that some might call special.
Oh my gosh, dude, I know what you're talking about. Are you kidding me?
I kid you not. And
wow.
So I was able to actually get a copy of this film, pristine, unaltered.
Wouldn't have anything to do with your wallpaper, would it?
It might.
Oh wow.
So yeah, once we're able to make this happen, that will be the inaugural film in Fainerism Flicks 2.0.
Oh man, that's great. That's amazing. Well, gosh, my announcement isn't anywhere near that great. The last little bit of programming we're going to plug. As you all know, the Rev and I have been doing a segment on Friday nights for quite a while now. It's called Sci-Fi Friday. He's not here to do all of his sound effects and whatnot. But anyway, but that's okay, folks. We are continuing our journey through the classic 90s science fiction series Babylon 5. We recently wrapped season 2, and next week, June 3rd, in the year of our Lord 2022, we charge into season 3, known collectively as Point of No Return, with an episode called Matters of Honor. Now, this is a huge turning point in the series. Our heroes are starting to, they're going to start getting more proactive in their efforts to fight the shadows, as well as fight the growing darkness in the government on Earth. And as fate would have it, and the writer's room, Captain Sheridan receives a new tool to help him do just that. And that's all I'm going to say for now. If you want to know more, you'll have to tune in next Friday, June 3rd. We hope to have a big round table panel for this episode. Goldar, I'd like to have you here if you guys can make it. It's probably going to be at 8 o'clock to give everybody, a chance to get here. And plus, if people want to show up early and catch up on a couple of episodes that I think might be helpful for them, that'd be great. But it's going to be a huge panel. We're going to have all of our usual, as well as some special guests. So hopefully things will come together for that. So with all that feckless shilling out of the way, let's get down to business. And unfortunately, our business involves, I think, the biggest RIP segment we have ever done on this show. And it is, and granted, we weren't on, we missed a week. So yeah, I get that, but man, I don't even know where to start. I guess I'm going to start with the one that happened today, the first one that happened today, and that is Ray Liotta passed away in his sleep. Technically, I guess he passed away overnight. And this was, I mean, I don't know how unexpected this could be. I mean, my gosh, he was, what, 64 years old?
Yeah.
And there are producers of mafia films crying all over the world tonight that may not get made. My gosh,
he was actually in production on a film in Jamaica where he passed away. So
I know, and it's tragic. I mean, this guy, I mean, he's going to be known basically as the heavy and the bad guy, but he did a lot of things. I mean, he did Field of Dreams. You know, I mean, he was Shoeless Joe Jackson in Field of Dreams. He even leaned into comedy with the one that comes to mind is that Adam Sandler one called You Be Halloween. You know, it's on Netflix. Like Ray was not too proud. What is I'm going to go ahead and say my favorite Ray Liotta performance has got to be Goodfellas. I mean, that's typical Ray Liotta, and he was shoehorned there. He was like as Mr. Narwhal said, he was shooting a movie called Dangerous Waters in the Dominican Republic. Is that where he was? I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. And
one of those.
TMZ said it was Dominican Republic.
Okay. I'll buy that. I mean, my gosh, he was in Operation Dumbo Drop, all these things, and it was his wife that I think actually broke the news. But our thoughts and prayers go out to him. You guys have anything you want to comment on that, Mr. Goldar? You got any Ray Liotta things that jump out in your mind?
I mean, I really liked his performance in The Place Beyond the Pines. Thought that was really good. Gosh, that
movie doesn't get near enough love, by the way.
It really doesn't. I'm trying to think of all the films I've seen him in that I really liked. We just watched him in Identity the other day. He was great in that. Gosh, there's just so many. I'm looking at a list of them here, and I'm just like, I can't really choose a performance that I liked over the other.
Yeah, the one that comes to mind for me is Revolver with Jason Statham and
I don't think I've seen that one.
And
yeah, I haven't seen that one.
I have not seen that one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Jason Barker's in the chat, by the way.
It's got Vincent Pastore. Yeah, great actor, and from what I understand, a pretty nice guy too. So,
most of these guys that make a living out of playing villains are like some of the biggest teddy bears you'll ever meet.
Yeah,
that's what I've typically. It's your leading men that turn out to be douchebags, but like most of the villains, they're like just the nicest guys you root. By the way, like I say, Sprout's in the chat, and he said he corrected us. He was 67, and he said, "Shill, you shills." That's right, I'm shilling. So yeah, so that's the first legend we lost. We lost another one, and of course, these next two passed while we in our break while we were on the air. But we feel, because of who they were in pop culture, that we need to acknowledge them. I may hand this off to Mr. Narwhal if he wants it, but Vangelis passed away. Wow. I know you like electronic music, like a lot of us do. And of course, he won, an Oscar for Chariots of Fire, but he also did the score of Blade Runner and several other things. Were you a fan?
I like Vangelis. In fact, I want to say that Vangelis was actually the first. It was Chariots of Fire that was the first soundtrack I think I ever bought. So
really,
oh yeah, the impact that he had with his music scores is probably only second to John Williams for modern film scores. He may not have been as prolific as John Williams and some of the others, but his film scores came at a time where the entire film industry was really changing and evolving. You had during the 70s the whole idea of the orchestral score really going out of favor. You watch a lot of the films from the 70s, and they didn't use orchestral scores.
They sound like jazz albums a lot.
Yeah, they really did.
Yeah.
And John Williams and Vangelis were two of the biggest people who actually reintroduced and repopularized the idea of orchestral scores. And of course, John Williams was the traditional orchestra, but Vangelis, really fused the old-fashioned style of an orchestral score with electronic music, which was unheard of at the time.
Absolutely. And it's my understanding that, and by the way, he was Greek, by the way. There's not a whole lot that's really known about him, about his personal life. He rarely gave interviews. In 2005, he stated that he was never really interested in the quote unquote, as he said, decadent lifestyle of his band days. And he didn't use alcohol. He didn't use drugs, and he had very little interest in the music industry as far as achieving stardom. He wanted his success to be pure creativity driven. And he felt like, the more successful you become, the more you become a product of something that generates money. And so he kind of, used what fame and clout he had to kind of be as free and independent as possible. I mean, there are people that didn't even know where he lived, so, I mean, he often rejected several opportunities to really promote and capitalize on his fame. So, I mean, that's really unheard of in this day and age. Goldar, are you familiar with Vangelis's work at all?
I'm not familiar.
Okay.
I mean, I've heard the soundtrack of Chariots of Fire, but
Yeah.
Outside of that, I haven't really heard much of his
Blade Runner
material.
is another good one as well.
Okay.
They list several others, but some of these films are very kind of obscure. They're ones that I'm not really familiar with. We do have a post, and we don't have a slide for this because again, they seems to be really happening really fast. But Sprout posted that Colin Cantwell, who was the designer of the X-Wing, and other iconic Star Wars ships. He also worked on 2001: A Space Odyssey. He passed away 3 days ago. And I mean, my gosh, you can't. Look at the ships from Star Wars. He pretty much had every much influence on my childhood as much as Gene Roddenberry and his group did. So our thoughts go out to his family as well. Now we have another actor that's passed away while we were. Oh, hold on. What did Jason say? Blade Runner. Oh my God. All of you know Vangelis. Yeah. Anyone that's seen, and by the way, anyone that's seen Blade Runner 2049, they're aping that score big time. I mean, they're doing everything they can to simulate that. So, but we also lost another actor during our hiatus while we're off. That's actor Fred Ward passed away. That was one that was kind of unexpected. He was 79 years old, but still, Fred Ward was Fred Ward. He was always going to be there. I mean, he was in Escape from Alcatraz. He was in TV shows like Quincy and The Incredible Hulk. And I mean, he was doing TV, like he did True Detective. He did Leverage. He was in Remo Williams. He was in the Tremors franchise. I mean, my God, Fred Ward was, I think Sprout put it as he was B movie gold, Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was one of those character actors that would just show up in various films. And anytime he walked on screen, he would just elevate the level of that movie by a couple of notches easy. His professionalism, his skill as an actor, he really brought something special to pretty much every role that he did.
Oh, absolutely. He apparently, see, my favorite Fred Ward role, and again, it's a movie that has grown in stature over the years, but he played Gordo Cooper in The Right Stuff. And that's my favorite Fred Ward performance of all time. He is so fantastic. And it kind of miffs me because that he kind of missed out on the current superhero comic book boom, because man, he was one of the originals, man. He did. And who all seen Remo Williams?
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Okay. Remo Williams was kind of a pulp hero. What was it? The Destroyer novels? Is that what they were called?
I think so.
Yeah. So he was like one of these original heroes that was mentored. He was kind of like Shang-Chi meets James Bond.
Yeah.
I guess for lack of a better term. He obviously wasn't Asian. But like he was taught by this ancient master who taught him how to dodge bullets and all kinds of stuff. And I don't know, man. It's a very campy movie, but it's a fun movie.
Oh yeah, I loved Remo Williams.
You liked Remo Williams?
Oh my god! Anytime I come across it on TV, I stop and watch it. I mean, it's also got Kate Mulgrew in it. It's like first. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. She plays the army officer that he kind of teams up with, but yeah, I mean the training and everything he goes under, and I mean, and of course it's just a really, really fun movie. So yeah, I was always pissed that we never got more adventures with Remo Williams.
I know. I don't think they knew how to market it.
No, well, and I think also the studios were like, I think there became kind of like this war of like, what to do with it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they just never could get it anywhere off the ground. So yeah, It was a great movie.
Yeah, it was sort of considered almost to be like a poor man's Big Trouble in Little China in a lot of ways.
That is a very good comparison.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
So
same level of camp. Yeah.
So when I told Cindy or the Queen about Fred Ward Pass, she went, "Who?" And I was like, it's the father from Sweet Home Alabama, And she's like, "Oh, okay." So that's who she remembers Fred Ward as. It's Mr. Smoot.
Well, and see, that's the thing about him. He didn't care as long as the part was good. He would do it. I mean, like I say, I listed off, Escape from Alcatraz.
Yep.
And the same year he did Escape from Alcatraz, he did Time Rider. Which is not a great film. But then he turned around and did Silkwood. I mean, it's like, my God. And he was on The Incredible Hulk that same year playing a thug. And, he's probably the victim of the week on Quincy. I mean,
yep. Guy loved to work.
He did. He loved to work and got to work to eat, got to eat to live, as Aladdin says. So anyway, Fred Ward will be greatly missed. And at least, for again, a lot of these guys are from a certain generation that, kind of showed us what real manly men were like. So, and I'd say he's probably one of them, man. Like I say, his performance as Gordo Cooper in The Right Stuff will always be my favorite. Of everything he's done. So, anybody else got any comments about Fred Ward before we move on to our next RIP?
They are falling like flies.
Oh my gosh, it's depressing because this one, and there's a funny well, not a funny story, an odd story about this. We learned just right before we went on the air that Andy Fletcher of Depeche Mode, he was one of the co-founders of Depeche Mode. He died today as well. He was kind of he wasn't one of the front men. He was kind of one of those guys that was kind of all over the place. He played keyboard, he played bass, but they described him as kind of the glue that held Depeche Mode together. And I think their mainstream popularity probably peaked in the early 90s, but it's so weird that Violator album, which by the way is their best work, and unfortunately, Reverend, the RIP segment and your music corner have coincided again.
No, I know. That's not what I really wanted that for, but
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But the Violator album was probably their masterpiece, and I just every few years I'll get the urge to listen to it, and I'll be damned if this month I have not been listening to Violator.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's creepy. I mean, things like, The World in My Eyes, Personal Jesus. That entire album's great. So, Goldar, were you a Depeche Mode fan at all?
Not a huge Depeche Mode fan, but I will say, like, I've listened to their stuff, but I haven't gone back and listened to it recently to reappreciate it.
I will say that I appreciated the music. Seeing them live in concert is a very interesting experience.
Oh, have you seen them live?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
when did you see Depeche Mode, dude?
Like 2 or 3 years ago, or probably 3+ years ago.
Oh my gosh,
we had tickets, and it was. I don't remember who they were with, but they came out there because I even asked you. I was like, man, is Depeche Mode any good? Because like I said, I only knew a couple of their songs, and so we had tickets to go see them. And so very interesting concert in a sense of just like it was not what I expected. But there there's a lot of leather.
Yes.
A lot of leather.
Yeah, there is.
And the front man apparently liked to grab a certain region of himself quite frequently throughout the show.
I can see that. Yeah.
Like
Very European in that way, yeah.
Yes. So, but yeah, it's great music. Always fan of that. And but yeah, you know, I'm not trying to lump Fletcher in with that performance or anything like that, because yes, he was an outstanding musician and all that stuff. But true, you know, anytime we lose an artist like that, it's truly a sad day.
Well, boy, Sprout's got all. He's like, absolutely, Violator is iconic. Enjoy the Silence. I guess that's Sprout's favorite song. And he said apparently that the Reverend went with Morris Day to an impromptu Depeche Mode concert.
Well, I didn't want to bring that up, but that's exactly
everybody got the Morris Day jokes. It's great.
Never gonna die, bro. It's never gonna
die. Yeah. Fortunately, one day I will and won't have to listen to them anymore.
No, because I'm gonna stand right over your casket and go like, Morris says hi. And all I can see is this just little crinkly red little hand just come up. And it just dropped back down again. Because you'll do that from the grave. You'll do that from the grave. I know it.
I will.
You will.
I will do worse to you from the grave on that. All right. So I think we have settled all of our folks that are destined to have left us. So
and again, and just to apologize for anyone who's watching, we're not trying to belittle or make light of the passing of these individuals.
Oh, gosh,
obviously, no. they lived a very lively life, if you will. I mean, they provided a lot of entertainment, a lot of fun, a lot of love of many genres throughout their life, and we appreciate that. And this is what the show is. It's not
celebration.
It's a celebration. It's not to mourn their passing, but celebrate their life and accomplishments that we get to look back and respect and pay honor to them and what they've been able to add to our culture. So exactly,
and I mean, these artists were important, shaping our pop culture as a whole. You know, and so with that being said, let's get on to our first main story. I sound like John Campea when I said that. Mm-hmm. Let's get on to the first main story we've got tonight, and that is the reaction to Thor: Love and Thunder's I guess first official trailer. We had a teaser trailer drop a few weeks ago. Now we got the first official trailer that Marvel Studios has seen fit to bestow upon us. And I am going to go last. So, you know what? I'm going to go with our reverend huge Marvel fan, Goldar. What do you think of this trailer?
I liked the music much better for this trailer than the last one, because for those of you that don't know, I can't deal with Guns N' Roses because I just can't stand Axl Rose's voice. It sounds like nails on a chalkboard to me. I don't know why he had a career in music. I don't get it. So I felt like that song was misplaced, though the vibe of the song was probably appropriate because they're still kind of going off of I can't. The same kind of theme that they went with Thor Ragnarok,
right? Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're going with that vibe, so it was appropriate choice for the trailer or teaser, but still wasn't feeling it. I liked this one much better. The musical choice. We got to see a lot more in this trailer. We got to see more of Jane Foster. We saw more of Valkyrie. We saw Christian Bale make his debut as Gore. We also got to see some things in the background. I don't know if you guys got a chance to catch this, but we got to see all of the what's the word for it? Entities, galactic entities. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
So Eternity, Infinity, the Living Tribunal, Mistress Death. There's a couple other ones that I'm missing as well. Mr. Narwhal or the Reverend can fill in the rest. But we've got our first, well, not necessarily our first look, because we've seen glimpses of the Living Tribunal and the Loki series, and also in the background in Doctor Strange 2, There was a couple of scenes where you could see him in the background. But this is like a first official confirmation that the statue head exists, like that he's worshipped. And I thought this was interesting because this particular location, I believe, is straight out of I think it was Jason Aaron's run on Thor with the Gore God Butcher story, where basically Thor went to this library where they talked about the history and mythology of some of these gods that existed in the Marvel universe. So I think that's where that particular piece takes place. So that's interesting. I've noticed that Gore changes throughout the trailer. So I think there's been a lot of people that have been upset that he doesn't look like his comic book counterpart, but I think he's going to slowly transform into that character. And it doesn't make sense for him to transform into that character unless something is changing him into what he would theoretically look like in the comic books. And I think that that's very strongly pointing, at least right now, strongly pointing towards the sword being the all black, the all black from the comic book that is changing his appearance and probably his demeanor and power set as well. Which I think is great because that kind of essentially, again, ties back to what they did in the post-credit scene in Spider-Man No Way Home by introducing the Venom symbiote into the MCU. I think that's going to play a role. But it's hard to see where Marvel is going in particular because it seems like they're going in a lot of different directions based on all these post-credit scenes. So it's, I feel like I trust Kevin Feige because he's got a plan typically. Like from what I understand, they do kind of free flow and rewrite some things, but it seems like he has kind of an outline for where he wants to go. So I trust it. But right now it seems like they're kind of flying by the seat of their pants, just kind of making up things going in different directions.
Man, I'll tell you what, I second that 100%. Between what we've seen on the Disney Plus shows and the next trailer we're going to talk, well, the trailer we're going to talk about later on tonight, I've said a lot. I think Marvel's lost their secret sauce. I used to say Kevin Feige was the Lord and Savior of the comic book movie. I mean, he had her, and honestly, folks, I mean, let's be, if we want to be really honest, not every movie of that 23 film Infinity Saga was perfect. I mean, there's a Thor Dark World, there's an Incredible Hulk, there's a lot of people lump Ant-Man and by the worst Marvel film, in my opinion, Captain Marvel. But there's so much entertainment value in there, and I kind of feel like, well, I don't want to, but I was let down by Doctor Strange, even though I did enjoy it. So my expectations for Thor: Love and Thunder are now muted. Now I do have Goldar, I have a question for you, and if you don't know, I mean, I know Mr. Narwhal might, or even the Reverend, the run you referred to with the where they brought Gore the God Butcher in, that was not going concurrent with the Jane Foster storyline, was it? That they've melted into this?
No, from what I understand, the Jane Foster storyline, I believe it came afterwards because what initially happened was, I believe it was towards the end of the Gore the God Butcher run, Jason Aaron did. He whispered something to Thor, and then later Thor was not able to lift his hammer anymore, and it went into the storyline of unworthy Thor. And at that point, Thor could not lift his hammer, so he had to use Yarnbjorn in the time being during that run. And if I remember correctly, that's about when Jane Foster started using the hammer of Thor and took on the title.
Yeah, correct. In fact, the phrase that Nick Fury whispered to Thor was essentially, Gore was right in that, the gods were not worthy of their godhood.
Yeah, that's correct. Because it was the Gore the God Butcher story. Then there was Original Sin, where Nick Fury basically killed one of the Watchers. I think it was it Uatu?
Uatu, yep.
Yeah, killed Uatu and then released all the secrets in the Marvel universe. So like you discovered all kinds of crazy stuff, like Bruce Banner was responsible for his own accident that caused him to be the Hulk because of some vanity situation that he had between himself and Tony Stark developing a weapon for the military. There was, that came out for Thor, and then there was something else that came out that was pretty huge. I can't remember what else.
Things that,
well, if anyone can kill a god, it's got to be Sam Jackson's Nick Fury.
Well, it wasn't. This was white Nick Fury.
No, this was Hasselhoff.
This is Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
OG.
No,
saying it's so.
Yeah, no, Black Nick Fury is from the Ultimate Universe, which is why for the longest time we thought the MCU was the Ultimate Universe, but there were so many things that were saying that it was 616, like the fact that Thor was actually Thor and not just some random street dude running around with a hammer. So there were a lot of things that they were mixing between the Ultimate and the actual 616.
And see, that's another thing I think they screwed up in Doctor Strange. I think they should have just come up with a different number, because 616 is the comic book universe, if my understanding is correct. So
Correct.
This is not the comic book universe. I mean, they should have just, my God, how many other numbers are there to choose from? There's a lot. As long as they didn't pick the 666 universe. I mean, that's where we're living, folks. I think that they would have been fine. So yeah. I'm liking a lot of the Jack, much like Ragnarok. I'm liking a lot of the Jack Kirby imagery, but I don't know about this story. I'm going to go to Mr. Narwhal. What are your thoughts on this trailer?
I think it looks awesome. I am a big fan of Taika Waititi's films. This is looking like another in his series of just bat crap crazy action films. I think it's going to be really cool. I'm very much looking forward to the Jane Foster Thor interpretation here. Seeing her sort of with the hammer, and I especially like the scene where I don't know if you noticed or not, but she actually goes to throw the hammer, but instead of actually throwing the hammer, the shards of the hammer go out and kill all the bad guys and then come back to the hammer.
No, how did I miss that? I've watched that trailer like 3 times. How have I missed that?
Yeah, that's an amazing scene where she's able to take out all of these different people, and it really sort of shows you the evolution of Mjolnir and how Jane Foster is using it. And I also think it's really interesting too to show that I don't remember if they ever said so in Endgame, but it's looking pretty clear from the trailer that Jane Foster was one of the people who was blipped during Endgame and Infinity War, because
that would make sense.
Yeah, in the trailer, she's talking to Thor, and she says, "Well, it's been like 3 years, right?" And Thor's like, "No, it's been 8, which accounts for the 5 years that she would have been gone." It's looking to me like she is a important part of not only the story but of New Asgard. I think that's going to be really interesting to see the interaction between Jane and Valkyrie. And then when you throw Korg in on top of that, I mean, it's just going to be funny. It's going to be witty. It's going to have some pathos to it. I'm excited for it.
Okay. Reverend?
You guys have pretty much touched on everything, but yes, I'm super stoked about it. When we first got Thor, the first movie and everything, I was like, okay, this is pretty serious. Thor, Dark World, it was like, man, it is, like I said, dark and everything. And when we got Ragnarok, I mean, we kind of got some lightheartedness and stuff. And that's when I think I really started enjoying the Thor movies a lot. It's such a great fit with that storyline and the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff that they're tying together. So we're getting some GOTG as well as some Thor together in that next movie, and so I'm super stoked about it. And I agree with Narwhal. I always butcher his name when I try to Wakiki.
Taika Waititi?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That guy is just, I don't know what kind of magic sauce he has, but man, I mean, he can produce it like nobody's
dude, have you seen Jojo Rabbit?
Yes, I have. It's phenomenal. I did, dude. I actually watched it on a plane. I was like, I'm interested in it, but I'm not willing to buy it or rent it or anything like that. I'm like, oh, it's right here. I'll just watch it. And I was like, this is phenomenal. I can't believe it.
And what a movie that should not work. By the way,
no, I couldn't believe it. I mean,
the
whole scene with the Heil Hitler at the house and stuff. I want to say that it's said like 37, 57 times or something like that. And that scene is just, oh my God, it's so hilarious. But I mean, it knows how to. He knows how to bring it back around to, you know, the point of the movie. I mean,
you
really see what happens to ScarJo's character at the end, and I was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh damn! And the way that, man, if you haven't seen Jojo Rabbit, people, you need to definitely go watch it. Because it is good, it is funny, and I mean, it really kind of brings it, you know, a full circle on you and stuff. But I think, you know, we'll get some great stuff out of Thor 4, and I can't wait to see how they're going to play Jane Foster's character and how they're going to tell her story in this. And I really
definitely what's showing up is Natalie Portman's CGI'd muscles, I think.
No, man, she's been working on that stuff,
dude. There's no way those are her arms.
Oh yeah,
they are.
They probably are,
dude. Just because you can't get your arms to look that good, don't be saying her.
That's what I'm saying, man. Genetics is a bitch. You know,
dude, but no, it's also
I've got a Queen Amidala action figure that is actual size of Natalie Portman. I mean, she's tiny. I mean, she is tiny.
She's still got bigger biceps than you. What you talking about?
Oh, dude, that's wrong. That's wrong.
That's all right. It's okay. It's okay.
It's wrong, and you're lying. You should have yourself checked.
But no. So this is like the comedy gold right here that we're going to get in Thor and everything. So I'm super jazzed about it.
Well, you know, I have complete faith in Taika Waititi. I really do. Again, my criticisms of the recent MCU entries aside, I have faith in him that he's going to do. You know, like Narwhal said, there's going to be some pathos in it. There's going to be, as we've all said, there's going to be some humor in it. You know, I'm curious, kind of like what Goldar said about gore. I mean, when, you know, some people like have been really like up in arms about his look, and my thing is, you don't hire Christian Bale to hide him, you know, like, but now if I'm correct, and again, I don't know for sure, if I'm correct, to be a comic accurate look would be something kind of like Voldemort, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
it would definitely look more like that, which that's what I was expecting.
Okay.
When I saw the trailer, but I think that's part of the film, to show his progression further and further into darkness. Taika Waititi has said that this is going to be the best MCU villain so far.
Okay.
So I think that we're going to get a pretty tragic story, because basically, like, the race that Gore comes from were these civilization of alien creatures that they believed in gods very staunchly, and you know, they struggled, and you know, when it came to a point, their people started dying off, and they prayed to the gods, and they thought nobody was there, and then out comes, you know, from the sky, these two gods that are fighting each other. One of them decked out in all black armor, which we now know is Null, and then the other one, I believe they retconned that. I think it was Silver Surfer, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have been Odin. I can't remember.
No, it was Captain Universe.
It was Captain Universe. Okay. That's right. The two of them were fighting, and then that's how he ultimately finds out that gods do exist, and he developed his hatred for them, and he took that sword at that point, and then went forward to kill as many gods as possible. So there are theories out there that Nowhere from the first Guardians of the Galaxy film is one of his conquests.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be really cool.
That'd be a cool flashback when you see him behead, you know, him out in space. That would be actually a really cool scene. I kind of hope they have that now. That'd be actually awesome.
There's also a theory going on now that he is the one. He's the reason why we haven't seen the Living Tribunal, Infinity, Eternity, all of these other celestial god. There's the theory that he killed all of them already, and that's why we haven't seen them in the MCU.
Well, that'd be pretty impressive. My big concern is, like I say, I have all this confidence in Taika Waititi, but my God, are we going to get another story where Thor has to find himself? He's been finding himself for 4 freaking movies now, and it's just like, and plus, isn't he like he's thousands of years old? He's just decided to find himself in the last 3 or 4 years. So that kind of bothers me.
Hang on a second. So I mean, you're saying 1,000 years, like like that's a long time. Depending upon the lifespan and life cycle of any society and everything, 1,000 years doesn't mean you instantly have instant wisdom by year 300. I mean, we're all 50 and look at us, we're still collecting toys and shit. And so, some people are like, when are you going to mature and grow up? Yeah. So, but I mean, even we see it in the trailer and stuff that he does kind of reconcile and I mean, you got to admit all the trauma. I mean, he lost his mother, he lost his father, he lost his hammer, he lost his brother, he lost his
home,
and so I'm just going to say, Mr. Hines, if tomorrow you walked in and your house was gone and your dog's dead, your truck's been repoed and everything like that,
first thing I'm going to do is write a country song.
Exactly. But I mean, I think that there's going to be moments of self-reflection and stuff like that, and so we see him kind of comes to terms with that, and that's what makes him decide to get back into shape.
I just don't want to see Thor humiliated. Like
no,
and I'll say this, that Hemsworth has said that as of, I think it was with Thor: The Dark World, he'd kind of started to lose interest in the character. Like they filmed all that stuff for Ultron that was cut out that he really enjoyed. And then when that got cut out, it kind of, he was disappointed with that. And then with The Dark World, he kind of, and basically he credits Taika Waititi for in his sort of retooling of that corner of the universe for getting him reinvigorated and re-excited about being Thor again. And kudos to him for that. So
I also want to say too, like, I think a big part of that was that Kevin Feige officially took over in Marvel Studios around that time, because I think he sharing with
like Palmater, Mr. Cheapo.
So I think that played a big role too, because I think most of them were about ready to bail around the time of Age of Ultron.
Even they lost Joss Whedon. I mean, we know that Joss has had some controversy later in the story, but at that time he was the golden boy. I mean, man, he made the movie no one said you could make, which was the Avengers. And right about that time, like you say, we lost Joss Whedon, we lost Favreau as a producer on these films. I mean, we lost a lot of creative talent. Yeah, so you're right.
I think it's going to turn around it now. I know you've got some. And I'm sorry, we've been talking. Narwhal, do you have any comments, sir? I mean, I feel like we've.
There's been a couple in here. I'm just looking at his wallpaper.
So I think there's been a couple of times he started to talk and we just talk over him. So Narwhal, please give us his input, sir.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that to Geek Boy's a point about Thor like trying to figure himself out again. That's a little bit of the point of the movie, though, in the way that we thought about gods in the MCU is, oh well, they're just aliens that people have worshipped. But there's another side to that where, people do worship them, and there is almost that duty of care that they have towards those groups. And I think that the film is going to get into that a little bit to say, what exactly does it mean to be a god, right? What does it mean to be worshipped by these groups? Because I'm willing to bet you that in the MCU, I'd be willing to bet that the worship of like Odin and Thor and stuff, they're a actual religion that people will subscribe to, because if you have all these other religions that have deities that you may feel but you don't necessarily see, as opposed to a deity that you have seen kick multiple alien invasions asses, which one is going to be a little bit more easily believed in and worshipped in a way. But there's that whole idea of what exactly does it mean to be a god.
Well, and my question is, and maybe, and this is where I think Marvel ran into trouble with Doctor Strange and maybe a little bit on WandaVision is that, they've trained us to look at these films a certain way. That those first 20 some odd films, they trained us to watch for everything and think about everything. And we just wrapped up Moon Knight, right? And so we've established that the Egyptian gods, for whatever they are a thing. So again, between that and Eternals and the cosmology of the MCU is getting really complicated. It looks like now that we're adding gore and the things that Goldar said, it's going to get even more complex. It's like, do you think they're going to address how all this stuff fits? Like, do Odin and Khonshu play golf together? Do they like, hey man, it's, are they like mob bosses? Like, that's your corner, this is my, like, I guess my thing is, how does all this kind of stuff kind of fit into each other?
I will say that in the comics, they do not do a good job of explaining this. They have sort of these parallel sort of streams that never really cross over in any realistic way, to where you have the Eternals and their group of deities, you have the Olympians, you have the Asgardians, you have Khonshu and his group, you have all the other groups that are out there. They don't ever really get much into the whole how does everything fit together, except for one thing. They have something, it's basically like a parliament of gods that they have. I don't remember what the name of it is, but actually Goldar made a reference to it earlier when he said that they had gone to a library where they were looking up information about all these deities. It's sort of like a parliament of all of these god groups. I'm trying to remember what the name of them are, what the name of it is, but they sort of like get together every so often and just sort of settle their godly issues. And it's not just like the earth gods too, because they have gods for the different planets that are also coming into these groups as well, for the Kree, for the Shi'ar, for the Skrulls, you have all of these different groups that are coming together. So I wonder if we may see a little bit of that in this too.
Yeah, I think I think it was called the Parliament of Pantheons or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it had like Greek gods on it. It had the Norse gods, Odin. It had some of the other ones in the Marvel universe, and they all just kind of, shot the shit and just hung out, basically.
I wonder if we're not getting that. Sort of say, so it looks like we're getting some of the Olympians in Thor 4. I mean,
Yes.
that looks like Zeus.
Yeah, Russell Crowe's playing Zeus.
With Russell Crowe. So
by the way, on that scene, good on Chris Hemsworth. He looks like a freaking Adonis. I mean, my God.
I think it's CGI.
Yeah, me too. Kind of like Natalie Portman stuff. Yeah.
So the question then is, I'm sure we're going to see Hercules in this movie. I absolutely no doubt. So question is, who's going to be playing that character?
I don't know, but at this point, I'm not willing to put money on it, because we thought for sure that we were going to see all these characters in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting there going, what would have been a sure thing 2 months ago, now you're like, I don't know if we're going to see anything like that.
And again, that's why I can't just throw my arms. Why? I mean, they turned what should have been a $2 billion movie into a $900 million movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm scratching my head going, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
Did someone spill the secret sauce at Marvel and they can't find the recipe, to make more? So again, I have faith in Taika, but we'll see. So anybody get any last comments on the Thor Love and Thunder trailer before we dropped?
No, I'm looking forward to it. That's about all I can say.
What I'm looking forward to, God dang it, dropped a teaser, and we're quite a ways away. I think we're a year away. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, one of the greatest. Part one. My God, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, probably one of the greatest freaking movie titles to ever grace my lifetime. This trailer, it was a teaser trailer. This was the same thing they dropped at CinemaCon a couple of weeks ago. And oh my God, this movie looks off the damn chain. you know, my biggest, it's not even a criticism of the movie. It's a heartbreak for me. The last 3 Mission Impossible films have been better than the last 3 Bond films, and they've all had the same plot. I mean, my gosh, Mission Impossible was a ripoff of James Bond, and they're now schooling them, you know, and I cannot wait for this movie. It looks like they brought everybody back of consequence. It looks like we have Henry Searsney, who played Director Kittredge in the first film, playing the bad guy. I'm assuming he's playing the bad guy from the way it's crafted, which is probably where the name Dead Reckoning comes from. God, I love that name. And if this trailer has 2 sort of, whoa, you know, like I've said things about the Thor trailer that kind of gave me pause. There's a lot of things in this trailer that we've seen in either other Mission Impossible films or other, like there's a big train sequence from the first one, you know, there's the boat sequence, there's a lot, but maybe that's by design, maybe it's designed to be callbacks, I don't know. Although the jackass stunt at the end of the trailer is just, you know, Tom Cruise is making $200 million jackass movies at this point. But and so that the stunts are going to be great. I you know, the movie could totally suck. I doubt it, because none of them have really sucked. Like probably my least favorite of the Mission Impossible movies is the one I used to rant and rave about, which was Mission Impossible 2, because I had a hard on for John Woo at one point, and I just thought that he could do no wrong. And then I saw, you know, Face Off. But anyway,
what?
I like Face Off, but watching it again, I see its flaws. Like, you have to be in a certain mood to watch it.
That movie is great because it's ridiculous.
You're right. It was Fast and Furious, baby, before there was Fast and Furious.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, you know, put John Travolta's face on Nicolas Cage, but Nicolas Cage's face on John Travolta, and put him in a Fiero and launch them suckers into space, and we've got a movie. You know, I love the action sequences in Face Off. I absolutely love it. But like the more I watch, and I remember, I have to be in one of those things where, okay, I'm all in, man. I mean, I could watch Ford Fairlane and Face Off back to back, and I'm good to go, you know, if I'm in the right frame of mind. But the one thing where this movie does kind of like let me down, I don't think they did, and this is important in a trailer, I don't think they picked the best music for it. The music was kind of a letdown. Like, it was too mellow. Like, the last one had Imagine Dragons, like, you know, just tearing that stuff up, you know. Now we've got whatever this is, and then like we get a little bit of taste of Mission Impossible at the end. But again, the trailer's great, or the teaser trailer's great. I can't wait to see it. What do you guys think?
I'm excited to see Haley Atwell in this. I like her a lot. I think she's.
Oh my God, I'm excited to see Haley Atwell in anything. Even when she's 50% off, like she was in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Well, they cut her. They cut her role short. They cut her. They cut her role short. There we go.
They did. Yes, thank you.
It's the part where you put that comma.
Yeah, you have to make sure you say that correctly, because otherwise you could be a spoiler. So
exactly. So, you know, I'll agree with Geek Boy in the fact that you're right. It's like every one of those teaser trailer segments is like a callback to a previous Mission Impossible, you know, movie. I mean, even going back to Kittredge and stuff, it's like going right back to the beginning, and like, you know, it was like movie 1, Kittredge, movie 2, you know, that kind of whole that pacing. And so, you know, I think I was talking with you guys earlier. I was talking to someone about this, and I said, I think this is the beginning of the end. I mean, if you're going to do anything like a Dead Reckoning Part 1 and then follow it with a Part 2, obviously, I think Tom Cruise is finally like saying, okay, I'm getting too old for this shit. Yeah. So you're going to get as much you're going to get as many stunts out of me as possible. And then, you know, Ethan Hunt is going to retire. And so, I'm just kind of curious, you know, that from the last Mission Impossible we kind of got this new love interest for him. And that was, what's her name?
Rebecca Ferguson.
Thank you.
I can't remember the character's name, but
but you know, obviously they were, you know, kind of set up for each other. So, and she's in the teaser trailer and stuff. So I think there's going to be that, but I'm just kind of curious, you know, with Haley Atwell coming into place, is she going to be like the whole, you know, turn out to be the whole baddie, like what's his butt was Henry Cavill? and
Yeah,
and shock everyone like there, or because I don't know if she can be the love interest now or whatever, but I'm still kind of curious how they're going to play that out. But it looks like the teaser trailer looks like it's going to be a fantastic film. I'll wait to see a little bit more before I make my true excitement, built up and everything. But it's got a good running start for me.
Goldar?
Yeah, I mean, I always enjoyed the Mission Impossible films a little bit more than James Bond because I think after we established in the first couple of Mission Impossible films, we kind of got an idea who Ethan Hunt was.
Yeah.
And then from there, they made the villains the most interesting characters. Whereas a lot of times in James Bond, they try too hard to make James Bond the most interesting character. And then they leave out anything for the villain for us to care about. And then it's just like, it was just okay. Like the most recent James Bond film. Like the villain was not the most interesting character. They really tried James Bond, but we already know James Bond because we've seen him in 5 films. So by this point, it was like, okay.
And my God, how do you make Rami Malek with a scarred face boring? But he did.
Yeah, they did. So, but yeah, Mission Impossible has usually made the villains the more interesting characters, and that's usually what's kind of piqued my interest. So I'm looking forward to this. I enjoy Tom Cruise, at least in film. So I think this will be another one in the bag for him. I'm looking forward to seeing part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Narwhal.
Yeah, no, I echo pretty much everything that everyone said. It looks to be interesting. At this point, I think Tom Cruise is the highest paid stuntman in Hollywood history. He's just pretty much gonna transition over from being a movie star to being like the next Chris Angel. He's gonna be like, now we're gonna take me and put me in a block of ice and we're gonna bury it in lava.
Yeah.
Yep.
Johnny Knoxville will be like, hey dude, what time we get together next week?
Right. That's right. No, it looks good. I am definitely interested in seeing this one.
Okay. Well, so we had 2 more things on the agenda.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
For you.
Yeah.
What is about the name that's got you so excited? I don't get it.
I just think it's so, to me, like, one of the things that that was always important about the Bond films was the title. Because Fleming had all those iconic titles, like Live and Let Die, You Only Live Twice, and like and of course once they had adapted all the Fleming novels or all the things that they felt were adaptable, they had to start coming up with things on their own. And like, Pierce Brosnan's GoldenEye was a great title because it was a callback to Bond scholars. That's the name of Fleming's house where he wrote all the novels at. So that was a great. But to me, the first time they called a novel Pierce Brosnan film Die Another Day, I'm like, that's a Fleming title. It's just like No Time to Die. That's a Fleming title.
Right.
Quantum of Solace was taken from a short story. So to me, and there's just something about Dead Reckoning that I think just sounds pretty freaking cool. I mean, it's got a nautical, it's got a spy theme to it. It's got, reckoning is things coming back from your past to get you. I just think there's, if the movie lives up to the title, this is going to be freaking awesome. That's all I can say. And then you have the audacity to put a part 1. It's like, we can't think of anything cooler than Dead Reckoning, so it's just part 1.
So Narwhal and Goldar, I mean, so I see where he's coming from on the love of the title. I mean, when you heard the title, did you have the same response, or what were your guys' thought when you guys heard the title of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning?
I mean, I feel like I've heard the word Dead Reckoning before somewhere. I can't remember like a name of a television show episode or a movie or something like that. So it didn't particularly thrill me, but it's got me intrigued because in the title it says part 1. So it's going to end on a cliffhanger and it's going to be a big one. I'm usually excited for films where they're ambitious enough to write part 1 and then part 2 because they're usually better done that way rather than just writing one and then a sequel that they make up, and it's just like, let's just make a bunch of stuff up for the sequel. Whereas it's like, no, this is a cohesive story that we're trying to tell, part 1 and part 2. So it's probably going to end with a bang, I think.
Narwhal, what about you?
Yeah, no, I think the title's fine. I don't have that same visceral attachment to it that that Geek Boy has. But you know the Mission Impossible films, or at least the ones that we've had with the subtitles, you know they've had some pretty interesting subtitles. You know like Ghost Protocol, I think was one of them, and
Rogue Nation. Holy
Rogue
shit,
Nation.
man!
Yeah, you know they have some pretty interesting titles. So you know, I think. I think that you know this is one of those few film series that can still sell itself just on the name of the series itself.
Yeah,
it's Mission Impossible film, and it's a Tom Cruise film. You know, I think those two things there will get butts and seats.
Right. Well, and my thing is, unlike the Fast and Furious films, I don't think this series has peaked yet. I mean, you know, Fast and Furious, that's all you had to do. Hey, there's new, you know. And then we reached Fast 5, which was the Citizen Kane of the Fast and Furious films, you know, and then we just kind of started the slow Fast 7. I just checked out, you know, like by Fast 7, I'm like, I'm done. And I haven't checked out of this yet. I mean, it's criminal to me how great these Mission Impossible films are. You know, as much as I am not a Tom Cruise fan, he's got 2 freaking movies that I can't wait to see coming out.
Well, the other thing too is like there's typically a good stretch between them versus like the Fast and the Furious films. Like every 2 to 3 years, whereas like these, like the last one we got was like in 2018, and then prior to that 2015, and then prior to that was 2011.
Yeah, so I think if you look at the gap between MI 1 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 3 and Ghost Protocol, it's huge. Like it's crazy.
Mission Impossible 1 was 1996, and then Mission Impossible 4 was 2011. So
damn.
So it's a big gap between.
Wow. What was the gap between 1 and 2?
1 and 2 was 4 years. So
that's still quite for Hollywood. But see, that's when Tom Cruise was at the height of his power. I'm like, I'm gonna go make some art films. I'm gonna make my art house stuff, you know, get my Oscar. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So all right, man. Well, sorry to interrupt everything. You sound like you were talking about going ahead and wrapping it up because we gotta.
Well, I do want to do the you guys have got me till 9:30, and you can certainly stay on. But we were going to do our top.
But yeah, let's do
expectations. But I say we do the She-Hulk trailer reaction.
Okay. So,
what do you guys think?
I think so. I mean, I think we were going to do Chip and Dale, but that can always hand off.
Oh no, we didn't do Chip and Dale. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not going to be able to say much because I haven't seen it. Have you seen it, Goldar?
I have not seen it.
So,
boy, you suckers need to log off and watch that damn thing right now.
All right. Well, goodbye, everybody.
I'm gonna let Narwhal go first. Or no,
this film had no business being as good as it was, because I remember
100.
You know, seeing the reactions for the trailer for this when it first came out, and everybody was like, "Oh, this looks like, you know, low budget Roger Rabbit." No, man, this movie has no business being as funny and as witty as it is, not to mention just the fact that it is so chock full of cameos and nods and little in jokes that literally you have to go back and watch it like 2 or 3 times just to catch everything that you see on there. I mean this movie really is, you know, this movie is a way to bring the new generation into the comics and into the animated shows that we had back in the 90s that were just so good, and this is a great reinvention of this.
Oh, absolutely. And I wasn't a huge fan of Chip and Dale Rescue Ranger. I knew what it was, why not, you know, but oh my gosh, it's so self-aware. It's you know, and it's funny you use the Roger Rabbit comparison, which is one that I would agree with. But the funny thing is, I loved Roger Rabbit back in the day when it came out. I was a huge Roger Rabbit fan. I've tried to watch it 3 times in the last year and a half and cannot get through it because it's so damned annoying. I mean, like the technical aspects of the film are flawless, but the character of Roger Rabbit and Jar Jar need to hang out. I mean, that's how annoying those two characters are.
Won't
right?
they just wind up killing each other?
Probably, and I don't know who to root for at this point. I mean, that's the other thing is like, and there's a lot of yelling in that movie. There's a lot, everyone is yelling at but like all the things that go on, like, you know, one of the things that, you know, because Turtle Gal had never seen, like, oh, you got to watch Roger Rabbit. I'm like, oh boy, this movie's not held up well. And she's like, really? I mean, like 2/3. But when I'm watching it, when the movie came out, was it late 80s, early 90s, somewhere around there when Roger Rabbit came out? You know, intellectual property back then wasn't what it is now, right? Let's just say that. So you've got a scene in Roger Rabbit where Daffy Duck and Donald Duck are playing guitar or piano next to each other. I'm like, that would never happen today. There's too many clearances, and I'll be damned if they don't pull that thing off in this Chip and Dale movie. It is fantastic. There's like, they do a flashback to the height of the Chip and Dale, you know, craze or whatnot, and they're at a bar, and they've got the Scat Cat from Paula Abdul. DJ in the bar, and then Paula Abdul is standing next to him singing the song.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, oh my God, this movie is fantastic, guys. It is hysterical, and it's not one you can like turn on in the back. You have to watch it and pay attention. It is.
Yeah, because weren't you saying there was tons of like cameos there, Narwhal?
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. There's one cameo that has been sort of spoiled in the in some of the news stories. So I'll go ahead and just bring it up here now, just because I want you guys to understand just how bat-crap crazy this is, right? So
I think I know where you're going, but go ahead.
At the beginning of this film, you know, that Chip and Dale have sort of split off. They've gone their separate ways. So, you know, Chip is an insurance salesman, you know, and he's just trying to make his way. And then Dale is on the convention circuit. And so, you know, he's hanging out there sort of in the convention area with his table set up where he's selling merch and signing autographs. And there's all these other sort of has-been wannabe, you know, BC level celebrities. You got, you know,
sorry, I'm already laughing.
You have like Lumiere over here who's signing autographs. You have Tigra from the old 90s Avengers movie. And I shit you not, Ugly Sonic from the Sonic the Hedgehog movie that just came out a few years ago. Remember how Ugly Sonic was in like that first trailer, and everybody was horrified by it, and so they like completely redid the movie.
It.
They have Ugly Sonic there signing autographs. It's like yeah, man, I was going to be in that movie, but you know the internet just shit all over me. And
oh my God, I gotta go watch this now. I'm watching.
All they did was see my human-like teeth, and now I can't get a job.
And here's the thing, right? You would think that, okay, this is a Disney movie, right? So, you know, they're going to take every opportunity to crap on, you know, all of the other stuff, but they're, you know, going to treat the Disney films with kid gloves.
Yeah.
No, they not. They are as brutal with their own characters and their own foibles and their own stuff as they are with anybody else.
And man, do they drag their own protection of their own intellectual property through the mud. Oh my God. This movie is, I mean, there were times, and keep in mind, Turtle Gal is hurt, right? So she's like, but there were times we're laughing and we look at each other and go, how did they release this? Like, how did the and the only thing Narwhal and I have ever come up with is there's a term that J. Michael Straczynski used around the time they got about midway through second season of Babylon 5 called benign neglect. like the studio was just like, okay, whatever. You know, you're not making a Marvel movie, you're not making a Star Wars movie, just whatever. We don't want to be bothered with you right now. Like, you know, we greenlit this thing, and I think that's probably what it was. Like the movie didn't have a big enough budget to warrant their scrutiny.
Right.
And they just did whatever they wanted.
I would say that in terms of like where this falls in the, I guess, the Disney pantheon, in not in terms of quality, not in terms of anything else, but just sort of the where it falls and I guess maybe how it's made and how it's perceived. Think like Emperor's New Groove, right? Where it's that level of very sarcastic, very different than other things that you might have seen from Disney, but it also, has a unmistakable charm and an unmistakable edge to it that most of the other Disney stuff really didn't have. That's Chip and Dale.
Yeah. Well, and like you've got like Darkwing Duck in it. You've got and if you've seen from the trailers, you see that is it Chip that is now CG?
Yeah, no.
It's Dale. It's Dale. Dale is now CG, and Chip still looks like traditional animation. Like, what happened? Like, I had the surgery. Yeah.
Oh wow.
He's like, I had some work done.
Is there like sort of putting it in perspective of this is Hollywood business, and it just so happens that the tunes are real actors who are working in Hollywood just like everybody else.
So that's where the Roger Rabbit vibe comes in. Like there's real people and there's the tunes, but there's also like Muppets are also real people. And so with the claymation, it is fantastic. It is brilliant.
Pretty much every animation that you can think of is represented.
Yes, and unlike Roger Rabbit, where they have the Toontown, they have all these things existing simultaneously. Like you have tunes going to school with real people.
Right. Well, there's even a cat in the trailer where basically the female police officer, I guess, comes to one of the apartment complex, and of course she's like normal size, but the building's just the same height as her, so she's peering in people's windows looking for people.
Yeah.
So that's
my God, it's fantastic. I can't. You know what? It may not be 5 stars, but it's damn sure 4. I'll say it's got more heart than anything I've seen in a long time.
Do yourself a favor this long weekend. Sit down for 90 minutes. And watch this movie. You will not be disappointed.
And on the other side, on the flip side, if you're not feeling it by 20 minutes, turn it off.
Yeah.
Because it's just that, if you don't like the first 20 minutes, you're not going to like the rest of it. So, but I just can't get over how self-aware it is. So let's do that. And then let's close out with the She-Hulk trailer reaction.
You only got about 6 minutes, bro.
I can do a full 10 or 15. We're good.
All right, you got to deal with the turtle gal.
I will. She hasn't come in here yet doing this number yet, so we're good. All right. So I got to say, this is another reason why I'm losing faith in Marvel. Okay, this trailer looks like dog shit. I was so jazzed when I heard they were doing a She-Hulk series because I thought, man, that's a great avenue for that character. This looks terrible. I think this just looks absolutely terrible. Can you emasculate a man anymore by carrying him like a baby through a room? And the CGI looks really bad.
And I think they're working on the CGI, and I think it'll be cleaned up more.
Then why release the trailer before it's done? Because
you still, come on.
Not the kind of hype they wanted, dude. That's not the kind of hype they wanted.
That's in your opinion, bro. This is, you're right. I had a totally different vision of the She-Hulk when
exactly
they made this announcement.
I owned She-Hulk issue number 1. Okay, so I had a whole different vision for what this show was going to be, and this is not it.
Really, because let me be the flip side. I thought this trailer looked awesome. This is
really okay.
This is exactly the She-Hulk I was expecting and what I was wanting.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair.
I like that. No, and I'm trying to say that and I hope no one mistake me. It's like I have not decided whether I like or dislike what they're about to do. The Jessica Walters actress they've got isn't who I don't see the connection between her and the comic book, so that's where I've had a little disconnect. The She-Hulk character, especially when you see her in the very opening scene when she jumps down and she's in the spandex, jumpsuit and everything like that. That right there looks straight out of the comic book to me. And so there's elements about this that have a lot of potential that I'm enjoying about it. I think there's still some CGI I think are going to get cleaned up. I'm just kind of curious. Do we even know? Is it Is it guaranteed only one season, or do we know if it's been guaranteed for multiple seasons?
I don't know if they've said.
It's open-ended. It's open-ended. They haven't said whether or not they're going to get a second season. I think it depends on the reception for this one.
Well, to me, this is Marvel doubling down on all of its worst instincts. Like, Ally McBeal was done like 25 years ago, dude. This is Marvel does Ally McBeal, which would be great if Ally McBeal was like 5 years ago, but it's like 25 years ago. So
I still think it's too soon in my book, and I'm going to give it a fair shake and everything like that.
Well,
I'm curious as to what they'll do with the show because Civil War dealt with the Superhero Registration Act, and then Civil War the movie dealt with the Sokovia Accords, but this is kind of dealing with its own kind of law around superheroes. So I'm kind of curious if this is going to be an opportunity where they bring in some characters that we haven't seen in a while or some new ones based on this and kind of put it in an interesting spotlight with how law works around superheroes now that we haven't seen in comic book movies.
Right. Well, we already know that Abomination is going to be in it. So
there was three characters that were shown in the trailer aside from the Hulks. You have obviously Abomination in both his human and his hulked out form. You have the I guess antagonist for the show, which is a character called Titania. She was introduced in the original Secret Wars, and she is one of She-Hulk's longest running antagonists.
Yeah, but she doesn't look very good, dude.
Well, it's one of those things that they have to sort of change up the character from its original iteration. The original, iteration just doesn't quite click.
Well, that's true.
Plus, I think that maybe what you saw in just that very brief glimpse in the trailer is not probably representative of her necessarily her full-on look. But there is one that they sort of snuck in that not a lot of people caught. Frogman. Yeah. Frogman's in the trailer, and I think I saw that. Going to be really interesting. Basically, Frogman to Marvel is almost like Kite Man for DC. It's that level of the character is so lame, that people just he's the punching bag of the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, and I'm with Goldar on this. I wanted a She-Hulk show. I thought that as soon as they announced Disney Plus, I'm like, She-Hulk and Spider-Woman were the two characters that this would be perfect for, right? But man, and I like the idea of the superhero like law thing. I think that's great. But my thing was, if you're really going to set this up, and I got to be careful when I say this because everybody loved it. Why didn't they bring her in to defend Peter Parker in Spider-Man No Way Home? Why wasn't she the attorney that stepped up to offer to help him?
I've heard a rumor, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but I've heard a rumor that this is actually set during the blip.
Well, that would make sense because, I don't know because we saw in the post-credit scene of Shang-Chi that, maybe it could be. It could be because we saw Smart Hulk in this. We did not see regular Banner. Now, on the weird teaser thing that came out like months and months ago that was supposed to be like the 70s Hulk thing, we did see Human Banner there, but that doesn't mean that that's going to be part of the show. That could be like a dream sequence or
right.
Yeah. But we did see Smart Hulk in this, and then in the post-credit scene of Shang-Chi, his arm was still...
Well, and Smart Hulk in this, his arm is not damaged. So.
Right.
Yeah. So this could take place during the blip. That would be interesting to see. Because it would make sense because that would be why they would come up probably with more legislation or laws and things like that because Thanos came in and just wrecked everybody and then bailed.
And we know that Marvel is starting to really exploit that period of time because the Secret Invasion series that they're coming out with is also set during the blip.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I've heard that. By the way, Sprout says bring on Secret Invasion, X-Men, and the Fantastic Four. I agree, but I'm not sure how that works.
Hey, Lori, thanks for joining in. Sorry,
hey,
catching it toward the end of it, but.
Well, everybody is basically taking a stab at the fact that the Nick Fury that we've been seeing in the MCU since Winter Soldier has been Talos the entire time.
Right.
And
and again, I'm trying to wrap my brain around that. Like, does that work? That's the other thing too. I'm trying to figure out.
It could work because there was that sequence in Captain Marvel where he said like he never cuts his sandwiches diagonally, and then we see him in Age of Ultron where he's cutting his sandwiches diagonally. So then it's like maybe that back then people were like, that's not Nick Fury. So based on that, based on this, what we just heard about a Secret Invasion, he probably hasn't been on Earth for a long time.
Right.
It's a case of so the Nick Fury that you saw that got dusted was probably the real Nick Fury because he had the pager. But let's say, for example, that Nick Fury.
Yeah. So how's that work? Yeah.
But let's say that Nick Fury gets dusted, so then they go, okay, well, crap. We know the one person who basically had control of everything is now gone. Talos shows up and goes, "Hey, guess what? I'm back. I survived," to maybe try to keep things going during this time of struggle. And then that's when you have Queen Veronica and the Secret Invasion that's basically going on, where the Skrulls are looking at this as an opportunity to maybe consolidate power on Earth.
Could be. I don't like how they made the Skrulls these poor pitiful me type. They're the victims. And we all know what they're trying to talk about. I mean, let's just. I mean,
we're talking about She-Hulk.
We are. Yeah. But again, this takes place during that time period. So I guess what I'd say is both Turtle Gal and I were left amazingly underwhelmed by this trailer. Like, this was not the trailer you needed to drop to get us interested in this show. Coming on the heels of an underwhelming Doctor Strange movie. Yes. So I'm going to say right now, I will not watch an episode of this show until you guys watch it and say, no, dude, you need to check it out.
All right.
Fair enough. Okay.
So
what do you got? I will be watching.
So I'll definitely watch. I'm going to watch because I want to know where all of this is going.
Exactly.
It's all over the place, and I'm curious now because there's too many Easter eggs everywhere that says it's going one direction. So I'm going to watch.
Yep.
And as we know, pretty much all of Marvel TV is now must see. You have to watch everything in order to figure out what the hell's going on. So you might as well sign up for the whole package.
That's exactly right.
Have you seen that meme of like Marvel fans in 2055? There are new Marvel fans in 2055 having to watch 137 movies and 1,900 hours of TV to catch up.
Well, and that was part of the problem with the books for a while.
Yeah.
Like, they had to start breaking things up into volumes and then start doing like refreshes where like, oh, let's start with the status quo.
Oh, I hated comic books that basically you bought like 4 or 5 copies of Fantastic Four, but then you had to come over here and buy the 3 episodes of Spider-Man. And then you had to come over here and buy 2 episodes of the 2 comic books of X-Men. And then finally you'd come back to the Fantastic Four that started it all, but you had, in order to get the whole story,
yes,
you had to buy like little bits and pieces out of every franchise. I'm like, marketing genius right there.
Right.
People are going to like, because they planted other stories in there that will feed into other comic books in that chain. So you wind up getting invested.
So, dude, that's the whole Death of Superman Doomsday thing. That's how that was. You had to buy Superman, you had to buy Adventures of Superman, you had to buy Justice League, you had to buy Batman, it was going through all of them. And that's how that went. And that's kind of, and by the way, I guess my final thoughts, now that I think about it, I'm just gonna bring this up. My final thoughts on She-Hulk was, wow, we wonder what a CW Marvel show would look like. But that's kind of my problem with the CW shows was, when they would do the big crisis, shows, I didn't watch, Legends of Tomorrow because I really didn't care for it. And like, I'm only halfway aware of what's going on, even though I'm enjoying this, but like it's the same similar thing. And I'm wondering if the Marvel Cinematic Universe is reaching the critical mass that the Marvel Publishing did in the early 90s, where like, okay, this thing's become unwieldy, unwieldy, and I guess what's that look like? What does Marvel do going forward?
I think what they're doing is they're doing exactly their plan. They're planting their new heroes in some of these other television series, starting now, so that by the time you get later in their run, where they become whoever they are, taking on the mantle, that you don't have to go all the way back to watch everything. You can start with whatever the current heroes are. You can start with their shows now. So Kate Bishop, what's his name, Patriot, and Captain. I call it Captain Falcon, or Falcon America.
Falcon,
Captain Falcon. I like that shit. That's good.
You got Hawkeye, Kate Bishop. You got America. You got
So all these characters, like by the time 5-10 years down the road, like if anybody wants to start with their stuff, they could just start now versus going back and watching what happened. Now, to understand like some of the ancillary things that have happened, like the blip and all of that, they'd have to start all the way back from the beginning, but they wouldn't necessarily have to. And I think that's part of why things are so fragmented right now and not going in a specific direction with some of them, so that it's kind of a reset point. But if you're wanting to keep up with the current crop of heroes, like, you're going to have to watch everything.
Well, and plus too, a lot of this, Marvel backstory has now, I think, reached the point of saturation in the culture that pretty much everybody now knows who Thanos is. Doesn't matter if you watch the Marvel movie or not. You have some level of understanding of Thanos and Iron Man and Captain America, and you understand the basics of it. So you don't necessarily have to have the entire backstory, especially for like some of these newer characters. You just have to know, there was an old Captain America and now there's a new Captain America.
Right. Well, I guess my thing is, though, like if you look at the MCU as it was originally constituted, you had a core group of actors that I don't think can be underestimated. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. carried this freaking universe on his shoulders for a long time. It just so happened that Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth and Sam Jackson, I mean, my God, Sam Jackson's joking. If they do Nick Fury didn't call me, I'd get pissed, and I totally get that. And you've got all these characters like that, they seem to be not totally exploiting. Like, I think Anthony Mackie deserves a Falcon / Captain America movie. That was great. Where's Rhodey? Don't give me no Riri Williams. I want Rhodey. Like you have several legacy characters that have never really been allowed to blossom. And I think that Marvel is doing some PC stuff that maybe at the expense of where the universe was organically going to go. That's my thought.
I think we're going to get Rhodey in what's it called, Iron Wars or something.
Armor Wars.
Are they doing that? Are they doing that?
He's going to be leading that show.
Okay, cool. All right, good.
But
so I think they're getting their love. But go ahead. Sorry, Goldberg, you got
no. You can go ahead.
That's all I was going to say. I think some of the past characters are going to get the love. That's kind of why we got the Hawkeye series. I know Jeremy Renner always felt like he was kind of screwed over, in the beginning.
And he still was in the Hawkeye series.
Well, no, I mean, I think he still, I think he got his moment. I really enjoyed the Hawkeye series with Kate Bishop, but I thought it was really
I never
good.
finished it. I got about 3 episodes in. I'm like, I can't watch this. So should I finish it?
I think so.
Okay.
I enjoyed it, but I don't know. You seem to be a hater lately, so I just think Marvel's lost. You're that grumpy old guy still.
I am.
He's like,
okay. So I had
you young Marvel kids, get off my old Marvel lawn.
No, it's not. I had to run new Star Trek off my lawn earlier today, so it's been a tough day. I had new Star Trek playing in the driveway and new Star Wars trying to creep up on the lawn. I had to run them both off. It was a mess.
He got the water hose out, squirting them down.
Get
out of here! Get out of here!
Yeah.
So, out of everything that you keep talking about how Marvel may have lost the secret sauce and everything like that. I don't know. I think they're trying to take the old sauce and I wouldn't say improve upon it, but they're adding a few extra herbs and spice to see what they can do. Maybe it's not working out the way they want and everything, but I mean, they're adding stuff. They're trying a few things, and they've got it in. I mean, come on, did we really think out of the 20 plus movies they did to get the secret sauce right that they were going to strike gold back to back? No way in hell. Name me a franchise that has had 20 movies that can go for that's gone this long.
Dude, I'm telling you, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we may never see anything like that. Those first 23 films, we may never see anything like that again in our lifetime.
Not in our lifetime.
I mean,
some of us are kind of old. Goldar's got a chance. He's the youngest one here. So
yeah, that's right.
He may come back around. He's got a shot. He may hit 80 and it's like, oh my God, it's the beginning again.
I mean, my God, even Sean Connery, arguably the greatest James Bond that's ever lived, he's got a Diamonds Are Forever in there. You know, I mean, and like I say, even up to Captain Marvel, and that's my personal opinion, up to Captain Marvel, even the lowest level Marvel films were still damn freaking entertaining. They were still better than 90% of the shit out there. And I think what's happened since Marvel has reduced, you know, we got what were we, you know, before Disney Plus, before time, okay, before Disney Plus, we got what, maybe 3 Marvel movies a year if we were lucky, maybe 4 on a good year. They were an event, and now this event has just become content. You know, kind of like Star Wars. It's just content, and I breaks my heart.
You know, I hate to say what I hate to say here is that, and I'm sorry if someone else want to chime in, I can shut the hell up for a second because it seems like, you know, Geek Boy and I, we get in this and we just start bantering back and forth and forget to shut up. But I'll say is that I think what happened is, and again, I'll kind of throw it back to the pandemic, is like they were like, how do we kind of keep this interest alive and still keep a story going? And because no one's going to theater, so what are we getting people out? What are people doing? And it's content, it's streaming, and it's like that's what we've got to keep, you know, focusing on to yeah. So go ahead.
Goldar.
Yeah, I mean, I think the evolution, of course, is streaming, but some of these stories deserve to be told in a longer format. Great example, and I don't know if they're going to do this. I hope they don't, but you know, we got Dark Phoenix twice, and it was bad both times. But everybody knows that it deserved to be a television series. Like the cartoon had to do it in multiple episodes.
Yeah.
So I don't know why the 20th Century Studios thought that they could do it in 90 minutes, 2 hours. Right. So the evolution for some of these characters is going to require, you know, lengthier time frames and streaming, and it works better in a television show. And I appreciate being able to for those characters to get fleshed out a little bit more that way. I think, and I do agree a little bit with Geek Boy that some of the movies have lost their shine a bit, but I think it's because we're being introduced to newer concepts and newer characters that we've never seen before. And also this is the kind of the point where like a lot of comic book fans all over the comment sections are not welcoming to this particular era, because this is the era of representation for some of these characters. Like they're legitimate characters in the comic books, but like they haven't been loved and appreciated quite the same way or as long as the previous versions, or their the versions that they replaced essentially. But they have good stories. They're interesting characters. I think we just need to put them in circumstances where we have the opportunity to become more familiar with them, to appreciate them more. And we're just in that early stage where everything is new now and it's not familiar, and it rips away from what we spent 10 years getting to know, and now we're moving into something brand new. Whereas like when we were first introduced to them, we already knew everything about them. We were just waiting to see the show for it. Now everything is brand new, and it's kind of a growing pain era. But I think it'll be good. Once we look back on it in 5 years, I think we'll appreciate it more.
Okay, Goldar, I got a question for you. So keep in mind, I'm a man of a certain age. And once you get a certain age, you go to dislike change. But
Speak
a
for
movie
yourself,
that
you old fart.
a movie that's right. That's right. I'm the grumpy old fart of the group. And I'll be happy to take that mantle. But a movie that I didn't really have that I didn't hate. I didn't have all the internet hate that there was, but that I like. It's not that was Iron Man 2. Okay, coming up. Watching whenever there's a big Marvel event film, I go back and try to rewatch the MCU films. Right. Watching Iron Man 2 now, it's a much better film than it ever got credit for. Like all the universe building it was doing and all that, it brought in Black Widow, it brought in, Nick Fury proper. I mean, there's a lot of things like Iron Man 2 still has its faults, but it does not deserve the hate that it gets on the internet. You think we're going to 5-10 years from now look back at some of these films and go, you know what, that movie wasn't too damn bad, or that series wasn't too damn bad? You think that's where we're at?
I think so, because
Okay.
there's probably a lot of stuff that they slipped into these shows that we didn't pay attention to, that they're going to capitalize on in a big way later. That's going to make us go, oh, that was the reason we watched this show. Okay, that makes sense. It's going to be the payoffs that come from these things that will make it ultimately worth it. Like Thor: The Dark World, we can all agree, trash movie. But guess what? There was some cool stuff that came out of that. We got the Reality Stone that came out of it.
Yeah.
And then we also we got that scene in Avengers Endgame where Thor went back and he finally got to truly say goodbye to his mother.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, so see, and it just, those little things, like future movies will make the previous movies more watchable and better.
Enjoyable.
Yeah.
Narwhal, you got any comments, man?
No comments. I think that you guys have covered it.
Okay.
All right, Geek Boy, you want to wrap us up, sir?
Yeah, I think that's it for. Well, that's not it for tonight. But that's all we're going to do tonight.
Right.
we were going to talk about our expectations for Top Gun, but why should we do that when we got Top Gun coming up for real? So I want to remind everyone that Sci-Fi Friday comes back on June 3rd. We have Phantasm Click still playing. We got Narwhal Palooza still up, and of course Goldar is continuing to drop episodes of Nightcrawlers. We're going to be back next week. Until then, I want to thank my co-host, Goldar, Mr. Narwhal, and the Reverend IT Geek. I'm Geek Boy for Fanboys 918, signing off. Peace.